Right now, your resident microbes are literally starving for sustenance. And because they are famished, they have begun to consume your own body. This isn't some poetic exaggeration. It is a cold, physiological certainty. When you neglect the needs of your internal biome, those trillions of tiny organisms stop breaking down your meals and start melting away the protective barrier of your intestines. This biological self-cannibalization is the invisible engine driving that persistent mental fog, the frustrating stomach expansion that makes your jeans tight, and the crushing afternoon slump that drains your will to work. In today's video, I am revealing 5 proven, natural strategies to purge harmful pathogens, rebuild your intestinal shield, and finally restart your body's inherent sanitation system to reclaim a level of vitality and cognitive sharpens you thought was gone forever. To start, we must analyze a biological function that the health community almost completely ignores, yet it remains your most vital internal janitor. It is known as the Migrating Motor Complex, or the MMC. To grasp why this is life-changing, we have to debunk a massive myth regarding how humans process food. We often imagine our digestive tract as a 24-hour conveyor belt. You swallow something, and it simply pushes the rest through. In reality, your small intestine operates in 2 distinct, mutually exclusive modes: the processing phase and the sanitation phase. When you are eating, your gut is busy extracting minerals and calories. However, deep cellular cleansing is impossible during this window. The deep scrub can only trigger once every last scrap of food has been fully broken down. This is the moment the MMC takes over. Think of it as a biological street sweeping machine. It is a rhythmic, muscular surge that travels through the small bowel. Its sole purpose is to shove undigested particles and metabolic waste down toward the exit. But there is a non-negotiable law. The sweeper only operates when the street is empty. Your stomach must be completely void of food for about 2 hours before the cycle even initiates. Once the engine starts, the cleaning process requires an additional 90 minutes to finish its work. If you consume even a single grape or a tiny detox juice, the second calories hit your tongue, the cleaning crew goes on strike instantly. A clean gut isn't built by what you add, but by what you leave out. In our modern culture, we are perpetual grazers. We have a morning meal, a late morning bite, lunch, a flavored latte, dinner, and a midnight snack. Because we never pause the intake, the sanitation crew never clocks in. This leads to a total system failure. Without the street sweeper, bacteria begin to pool and stagnate in the delicate upper chambers of the gut. This results in fermentation, chronic gas, and the development of SIBO. Essentially, your internal trash is overflowing. Because the janitor was never allowed into the building, the remedy isn't a pharmaceutical drug. It is the restoration of space. Clinical data indicates that gapping your meals by 5 hours without any snacking empowers this cleansing wave to finish its entire cycle. It is the art of doing nothing. When you hear a gurgle in your midsection and you aren't actually famished, that isn't a plea for a snack. It is the roar of the street sweeper doing its job. By simply locking the pantry between meals, you allow your biology to fix itself. Next, let's discuss your internal wildlife. Once we acknowledge that the hardware needs time to clean, we must look at the software living inside the pipes. You are a walking host to a massive civilization of bacteria. For decades, we viewed these as enemies to be killed. Today, we realize they are the foundational soil of your health garden. If the dirt is toxic, nothing grows. If the soil is nutrient-dense, the entire forest flourishes. The classic blunder most people commit is trying to fix their digestion with a basic probiotic pill. This is usually a waste of money, because you are essentially scattering a few seeds onto a dry sidewalk. If the habitat isn't welcoming, they will never sprout. The most potent way to transform this environment is through massive diversity. There was a landmark study that swapped the diets of rural, agrarian populations with urban Westerners. The rural group ate extreme amounts of plant fiber and very little fat, while the urban group did the opposite. In just 14 days, the Westerners on the high-fiber plan saw their markers of inflammation vanish. Why? Because fiber is the specific fuel your beneficial bacteria crave. When you consume plant matter, it travels to the lower gut where your friendly microbes ferment it into powerful anti-inflammatory chemicals that seal your gut lining. But here is the secret: different species have different appetites. Certain microbes want the fiber found in leeks. Others demand the polyphenols in walnuts. Some only thrive on the compounds in blueberries. A massive research project discovered that the #1 predictor of a healthy microbiome was the sheer variety of plants consumed. The golden number was 30 different plant species per week. That might sound overwhelming, but remember that herbs, spices, seeds, and nuts all count toward the goal. It is about the breadth of your plate, not just the pile of one vegetable. If you eat a massive amount of kale every single day, you are only feeding the kale-loving colony. But if you mix in pumpkin seeds, garlic, black beans, and basil, you are feeding a thriving, diverse army that can easily defeat invasive weed bacteria. Moving to our third pillar, we have to talk about biological timing. We usually obsess over what we eat, but the when is equally transformative. Much like your brain follows a sleep-wake cycle, your digestive furnace has a specific rhythm. We mistakenly believe digestion is a machine that runs at the same intensity all night. It doesn't. Research proves that your body is far more efficient at processing fuel earlier in the sun cycle. Your insulin response and enzyme production are strongest at midday and plummet once the sun goes down. Think of it as a warehouse shift. The day shift is fully staffed and high energy. The night shift is just one guy with a flashlight. When you eat a massive bowl of pasta at 10 p.m., you are dumping a huge workload on a skeleton crew that was ready to go home. Because your system is sluggish at night, that food remains in your stomach, decaying. Your blood sugar stays spiked, which triggers fat storage and systemic inflammation. Furthermore, processing food requires immense energy. If your heart and gut are working to digest a late-night feast, they cannot focus on deep tissue repair or memory consolidation. There is also a powerful bridge between your gut microbes and your sleep quality. Certain bacteria produce the precursors for melatonin. When we eat late, we disrupt their clock, which ruins our rest. It is a self-destructive loop. Bad sleep causes sugar cravings, which destroys the gut, which ruins the next night's sleep. To shatter this cycle, we use metabolic rest. This isn't starvation. It's alignment. Aim to keep your eating within a 12-hour window. For instance, only consume calories between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. This simple boundary syncs your hunger with your body's peak active phase. It gives your gut wall a chance to rebuild overnight without being interrupted by fresh incoming waste. It tells your cells to focus on renovation, not manufacturing. Now for our fourth mechanism. We leave the kitchen and look at the electrical wiring of your torso. You can eat the most expensive organic diet on earth, but if this specific wire is short-circuited, your digestion will freeze. I am talking about the vagus nerve. Your brain and belly are physically tethered by this massive nerve. It is a high-speed data cable, but the direction of traffic is controlled by your stress levels. Your nervous system has two modes: panic and peace. You cannot inhabit both simultaneously. Biologically, if you are worried about a deadline or scrolling through an angry social media feed, your body senses a predator. In response, it pulls blood away from your stomach and pumps it into your legs so you can run. Digestion is viewed as a luxury your body can't afford during a crisis. This means if you eat while you are frazzled, rushing, or distracted, you are trying to cook on a stove with no power. Your acid production drops and the muscles in your gut stop moving. This causes food to rot in place, creating the very gas and bloating you hate. We must accept that digestion is a neurological event that starts in the mind. You have to manually flip the switch to peace before you pick up a fork. The world's healthiest cultures don't just eat healthy food, they eat slowly and socially. This isn't just a tradition, it is a physiological requirement. A simple way to hack this is the exhale method. Before your first bite, take 3 slow, controlled breaths. Make sure your exhale is twice as long as your inhale. This physical act stimulates the vagus nerve and sends a signal to the brain saying, "The threat is gone." The brain then flips the power back on for your digestive enzymes. It takes less than a minute, but it fundamentally changes how that meal is processed. Fifth, we have to look at the invisible toxin bombs we are accidentally dropping into our systems. We usually focus on addition: more vitamins, more green juice. But in human biology, subtraction is far more effective. We are currently drenching our guts in chemicals that act like napalm for our microbiome. I am referring to the chronic exposure to low-grade antibiotics and agricultural pesticides. While medical antibiotics are life-saving in an emergency, using them for every cold or consuming them through cheap, factory-farmed meat is like setting fire to a forest to kill one bad tree. You kill the bad bugs, but you also incinerate the ancient growth of your good bacteria. It can take half a year for your internal diversity to recover from one round, but it's also the chemical sprays on your produce. Many industrial crops are coated in substances designed to destroy living organisms. When we eat those residues, we are swallowing microdoses of weed killer that decimate our internal garden. Furthermore, we must address our tap water. Most cities add chlorine to kill pathogens in the pipes. That is great for preventing cholera, but if you drink it unfiltered all day, you are essentially taking a mild antibiotic with every sip. The strategy here is defensive. Choose organic for the dirty dozen. The fruits like strawberries and spinach that soak up the most chemicals. Use a basic carbon filter for your drinking water to strip out the chlorine. Healing your body often starts with what you stop doing. You have to end the daily chemical bombardment so your other systems can actually do their jobs. This leads us to a unified theory of gut restoration. Picture your body as a luxury estate. You cannot keep the floors clean if you are constantly dragging in mud, if you never let the cleaning staff into the rooms, and if the electricity is always flickering out. To truly fix the system, you don't need a cleanse product. You need to follow the manufacturer's manual. Respect the janitors. Space your meals by 5 hours to let the MMC sweep the floors. Feed the soil. Consume 30 different plants every week to grow a resilient forest. Watch the clock. Stop eating at sunset to let the night shift do repairs. Check the wiring. Breathe deeply before meals to turn on the power. Stop the invasion. Filter your water and wash your food to keep the toxins out. The incredible thing about your gut is how fast it wants to heal. The cells in your intestinal lining are replaced every few days. Most people wait for a medical crisis to take this seriously. They wait until they are chronically exhausted or in pain. But true health is found in the invisible daily habits. It is the choice to wait for the next meal, the choice to buy a new vegetable, the choice to breathe before you eat. These small pivots build a level of resilience that allows you to age with energy rather than just surviving. If this breakdown changed your perspective on health, make sure to hit the like button and join us here at Heal Easy. There is so much more to explore. I want to know in the comments below. Which of these 5 habits are you going to start tomorrow? Post it below and I will see you in the next video.